Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem, a postmortem of my Blitz game number 418. I had the black pieces. My opponent played d4, and I played d5. I was thinking of playing the Chigorin defense if I got the chance. Again, that's the move. After c4, you play knight c6, counterattacking in the center with the knight. Kind of a funny move, blocking the c-pawn, which usually you want to participate in these queen-pawn openings. But it has some points, and it's an interesting way to play. And I've been just trying to get some more experience with it. But, well, he foils my plan by playing e3. Pretty common response these days where white just sets up a very solid center and looks to expand later. So I give up on that idea and go with the normal knight f6. He goes c4. So we've transposed back into a queen's gambit declined because he's played this. Or I could take the pawn and then it would be a queen's gambit accepted. Either line is okay. I play c6, the Slav defense to the queen's gambit. Let's back up. It looks like that was, well, that's one of the choices here. c6. Yeah, okay, that's top choice. c6 taking, or e6 going into a traditional or classical queen's gambit declined. Okay, but I go with the Slav setup. And then he plays a3, a very rare move, and we're just completely out of the opening book. But well, white has this plan of just expanding on the queen side. You'll see this happening. Oops, not that way. You see this happening in the game where he just builds up a big pawn formation on the queen side. And I'm never quite sure what to do about these plans. I just continued with e6. It looks like bishop f5 maybe is a good idea. He's wasted a tempo here with this move a3. Let's get these arrows off the board. So if I just bring my bishop out now, it doesn't run into any problems. Usually, the problem you have to worry about, not just put this on the board. The problem you have to worry about when you develop your bishop here is a counter strike like this queen b3. Your bishop has left off defense of the b pawn, and the queen can put some additional pressure here. But it looks like you can counter this with queen c7 or queen b6. Just holding on to things and have a good position. Queen b6 would allow a queen trade, of course, but it looks like even that is favorable to black. Queen b6. So either of these moves is okay. And the key is he hasn't developed his knight yet to put any more pressure on the center. So my knight here and pawn on c6 are adequately defending the d-pawn. So bishop f4, a very logical move right here. Bishop f5, rather. I should have considered that. Anyway, I just went with my usual setup with the Slav, going at e6. This is called the semi-Slav, actually, when you get this pawn triangle for black. Not that one, this one. That's the semi-Slav formation. Okay, he goes on with c5, locking up my center. And now I decided to not contest it immediately, but to wait and just develop my pieces. But it looks like the chess engine is preferring the strategy of playing the move a5 here and just extracting an exchange at least so he doesn't gain total domination of the queen side, and then it likes black. So I think I like that plan. Sometimes it's a bit cramping if white gains too much space on the queen side. So you have to choose some point at which to try and counterattack your opponent's advancing pawns. And it looks like right here is a chance to play a5. Okay, so I didn't. I played knight bd7. He goes b4, setting up his big pawn advance, and I play a6 here. So this, I guess, was not so accurate, this a6 move. I just was holding line. I wasn't counterattacking at all. So I could have played b6, once again, with the idea of forcing some exchanges. Although after b6, you do have to worry about the c6 pawn here becoming weak. What are other ideas here? Just continuing to develop with bishop e7. I guess having adopted the strategy of ignoring his pawn advance and developing pieces, maybe I should follow it through with bishop e7 and queen c7, these kind of moves. Or even a5, I guess, is still playable here. a5, b5. Okay, still some edge to white here. So, but a6, I guess it gives white too easy a game here. I'm not counter-attacking his advance here enough. Okay, so he goes bishop d3. You go bishop e7. We get some fairly normal developing moves, knight e2. Although I prefer the knight on f3 myself. I'm not sure But, well, a knight from here could jump into f4. Maybe he's got some ideas. Also supports the c3 square. Okay, knight e4. I chose this moment since he's not putting any pressure on the e4 square. I chose this moment to put my knight here. Once again, the engine likes b6 here, trying to counteract and counterattack the advanced pawns on the queen side. Okay, so knight e4 and knight d2, and I play f5, just trying to get a solid presence here in the center. And yeah, so somehow this is not good. So the combination of knight e4 and f5. This is a very typical plan as far as I can tell. Maybe it's a little too easy for him to evict the knight here. He hasn't. It would be different if white had played the move h3. That's something to watch out for. If h3 has already been played, then a move like f3 to chase the knight away can often be met by knight to g3. Although in this case, his knight is guarding the g3 square, so even then it wouldn't be so great. So maybe that's the problem. Maybe the knight is just not stable here, and I've wasted some moves trying to establish it. Okay, so I play f5. He just castles. And get my other knight to f6, so I'm supporting it. But he goes f3 and kicks it away. Yeah, and this is all a plan that the chess engine approves. So it thinks knight is white. White is doing very well here. Bishop takes. I castle. And now he goes with knight g3. So that was his idea of developing the knight to e2 to come to g3. And maybe he's going to advance in the center later with the push to e4. He's got the knight well placed for that. But we'll just wait and see what happens. He goes queen c7. Oh, it's my turn. I go queen c7. Trying to arrange my pieces to point them towards the opponent's king. Maybe get in the move e5 at some time. He goes queen c2, also with the same idea, pointing his pieces at my king. Very logical. I shore up my center here with g6. He plays e4. So he does get in this break, and the knight is well positioned on g3 to support it. So I think white's played a very consistent game up to this point. So something to look out for if you see this kind of plan. With the knight e2 to g3, the expansion on the queen side gives him the time to, the space rather, gives him the space to arrange his pieces for the attack, and now he pushes forward in the center. So I played d takes e4. He takes back. And at some point here I get into big trouble. I'm just kind of going along here trying to figure out where it is. Maybe right here. F takes e4 is perhaps better than what I played. I played knight takes e4. Yeah, the problem with this move is, and so yeah, my position starts going downhill here. Even worse, the knight is a great defender of the king side. I should have kept this in mind, and so I don't really want to trade it off. Even though I'm getting rid of one of my opponent's attacking pieces, he still has these fine bishops here pointing towards the king's side, and my pieces are a bit scattered at the moment. And you'll see he has the opportunity to take advantage of this in a few moves. Knight takes, take back with the f-pawn, and he just takes here. So now I've got an isolated pawn here that he can attack on d6, and he's weakened the pawn structure around my king. So I need to play a move like bishop f6. Yeah, that's a good idea. Bishop f6, counterattacking his d-pawn, and that's a great attack there. If I were to take that pawn, it would fork his king and his rook in the corner. So that would certainly be an idea here. Instead, I pushed on with the move e5, trying to bust up his center that way. And this is just a blunder, and he can win the game here. So if you read my note of the previous video, this is the spot where you're supposed to find the attack for white. Now, the chess engine is already giving the move away, but if I tell you there's an attack here, I think bishop takes g6 is the first move you're going to think about. Sacrifice the bishop to eliminate the pawn cover. If I take back, the queen comes in here, check. And now you see the problem with the way my pieces are arranged. Normally I would want to bring my queen over here to block the check, but that's just not possible here with my bishop in the way. So king h8 is the only move, and then his bishop comes in with h6. He's got open lines for his rook, so he just has a devastating attack here. Yeah, he can exchange off this rook and then bring his other rook over, and it just takes me a while to get my pieces into the game. Say I try to sacrifice back. Bishop takes c5. The idea is just to clear a row here for my queen. Oh, but that gives up a whole rook. Yeah, that bishop came in with tempo, so that's a problem. Yeah, it's just losing. there's no way to survive this attack. Everything loses here. So after bishop takes g6, actually, the chess engine is saying I should move my king and not even take the bishop. But you know, white's got a winning position then if he just won a pawn that's near my king for nothing. I don't even, not even a sacrifice, he just wins a pawn. Then you know white's in good shape. Okay, so he didn't spot that. He played bishop to c3. Yeah, the bishop was there. He played bishop to c3, defending his center here. And, well, he's still got some tremendous attacking ideas. There's another opportunity right here. Instead of taking back immediately, if he throws in this move, queen b3 check, that's a very devastating attacking move, too, because he's now controlling two of these diagonals effectively, and I can't block with my bishop. Once again, my pieces are not well coordinated, and there's nothing to support a bishop on e6 there to block that diagonal. I just can't block it. So that's a winning attack too. He took the pawn. I played my bishop to e6 now, at least securing one diagonal for my king. I'm still in bad shape with this idea of sacrificing on g6, but he plays queen c3 now, and now I can breathe again. His attacking chances have pretty much disappeared with a couple of imprecise moves. So that's, I think, an important lesson. You've got to really strike when the opportunity is there. If you play a few inaccurate moves and give your opponent time to organize his defenses, then the attack just disappears. And that's what happened here. We have basically an even game at this point. So I played bishop to g5. Just trying to get my piece out of the way so my queen can help defend over here. And he goes rook f to e1. I go bishop to f5. Cancel that. It's the other bishop. Bishop to f5. I just wanted to oppose his light squared bishop, although it was a bit risky. I opened up this diagonal. But actually I was happy to see, if we back up for a moment, I was happy to see his rook come off the f-file, because I've been wanting to play this move and counteract his bishop. And I can't play it in this position because his rook and bishop are both guarding this f5 square. But when the rook moves to e1, then I can play this move. And so he decided to take. I get my rook developed. I can even think of doubling on the rook file, and I'm switching from defense mode to attack mode now. Thinking of ways that I can get something going against his king. Although you see the position is still balanced. It's just so he throws in this queen c4 check. And I block with my queen. So probably if the queens come off, it's about even if he were to take. He didn't do this. But that was kind of what I was expecting in the game. Yeah, very, very much an even game. So instead, he kept the queen on with queen c3. Wanting to continue the fight, I get my other rook to the f-file. And he goes queen to d3. So he's just kind of poking and prodding around with his queen. It doesn't look like there's a real consistent plan. But sometimes your attack stalls, and that's the best you can do. You just try and poke at your opponent's defenses and see if you can provoke a weakness of some kind. But the moves he's been making have not been effective yet at doing that. So I block this diagonal. He drops back to e3. And that's a big mistake. I guess he really needed to take. And once again, this would be an even game after he exchanges. Taking back with the queen or the rook. It says the queen is slightly better. And, well, I've got this nice file that I can use, but there's not a whole lot left on the board, a whole lot of extra pieces. So he can effectively oppose this with rook to e1, I think. The queen and the two rooks are all coordinating on the f1 square, so I'm not going to be able to break through there. Although the engine is saying, giving other lines. Anyway, but about even. So he backed off, gave me that diagonal. And, oh yeah, that was the reason why he couldn't do that. He's just giving up his rook in the corner, or giving up the exchange. So really the exchange here was forced, and this was a mistake. So I would say my opponent played pretty good up to this point. He developed a really good attack. His first mistake was not... well, breaking through with the attack when he had the chance, and now as the game has gone on and his attack has faded, he's sort of lost concentration here and is starting to drop pieces, which is what happens sometimes. It's happened to me, so I understand this. So the rest of the game is not that interesting because he's just making too many mistakes now. Queen e7. Oh, I go queen e7. I'm just trying to activate my pieces here. I'm up the exchange, and I'm just trying to figure out how to coordinate, basically. He still is guarding a lot of key squares around his king, the bishop and the knight. So it's not so easy to break through. He goes bishop to h6, hitting my rook. I switch over to the e file. Queen c4 check. He just doesn't quite have enough pieces to coordinate. So I drop my rook back to f7. You know, the bishop is controlling all these squares, and the queen is controlling these squares. He could try bringing his rook over for, yeah, rook f1. That's the logical follow-up, trying to attack my pinned rook. And queen to e6. Yeah, I would just oppose his queen, unpinning my rook, and probably lead to a lot of exchanges where I would have the advantage. But that's best play. Anyway, he switched to moving some pawns over here. I guess he didn't find any more moves on the attacking side. Allows me to reposition my queen over here, and now I have some more squares I can invade on. He's actually freed up a square here for me to take advantage of, which is what happens when you push the pawns forward around your king. It gives more squares for your opponent to attack you on, so you do have to be careful. I mean, sometimes you need to do it, but you have to be careful with that. Okay, bishop drops back to f4, and oh, once again, he just dropped the rook in the corner. Yeah, so that's pretty much over after he's down a whole rook at this point. So we just play out a few moves, and let's see. At some point he resigns. Yeah, he resigns here. He could have resigned earlier. Okay, so that's how the game ended. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.